Meeting of May 5th, 2020. We're going to start with the town clerk taking a roll call.
Councilman Dennis Troy,
Present.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Here.
Councilman Paul Valentine. Paul's, is that Paul?
Here. He's here.
Okay. Councilman Tom Divany,
Here.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Here. We're going to start with a pledge of allegiance. So I don't know if you can see the flag that's behind me, but we will stand up and do a quick pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under
under God,
God,
indivisible,
Liberty,
liberty and justice for all.
I may go sit outside.
Okay, so tonight we're going to start with something we don't normally do, but we are going to take a moment of silence tonight in the adjournment portion where we name, we list the deceased and who we're adjourning in memory of. We have 29 names. And so I can tell you, I've been here 23, 24 years. We've never, I mean, other than a couple of names, we've never seen anything like this. And so it's heartbreaking. So if we could all just take, a quick moment of silence to think about all those we lost. On that, we will go into our announcements. I'm going to start with what I'm calling the COVID-19 financial recovery. It's just the reality of what this pandemic is doing to the town of Orangetown, as well as every other municipality in the finances. So we basically, I've been working with the finance director and we've talked to our counterparts at the county. I've been talking to the supervisors, and we're going to be taking a big hit on the deficit on revenue coming into the town. It's hard to predict at this point in time. We don't know how long this is going to go. We don't know, how much the sales tax we're going to get hit with. But at the end of this, we're going to have some serious budgetary issues. So, I will be sharing whatever I learn with you as I learn it. So everybody knows where we are. There's no secrets. I'm going to be very transparent about it. But anyway, just again, for tonight's purposes, I'm just telling you, we've started looking. And as we get more indicators in when the quarters and the month ends, we'll be sharing the information with you. So kind of aligned with that, one of the things that I want to do is form a committee to basically help jumpstart the businesses when we get out of this. We have daily calls with the governor, and he kind of explains the process. We have a ways to go, but when we get to a point where businesses can open, they're going to need help. So I'm trying to come up with a committee of people who have great ideas, way smarter than me. It's voluntary. We will be reaching out to different members of the community who may have some expertise to get them to see if they want to be involved. But again, if anybody out there has that expertise and wants to step up, by all means, supervisor@orangetown.com, just send us your name over and we'll be sure to keep you in the loop. It's again, the other towns are looking to do similar things. The counties are going to do similar things. Whatever we can do to help the businesses going. So kind of brings me into the third part of what I have down here as an announcement. It's more of a discussion item. One of the things we're going to be proposing, and which I have actually already started talking to the town attorney and the head of our building department, is about doing some kind of expedited process to allow the restaurants to have outdoor dining. Either in their parking lot, in the front sidewalk, because it's going to come down to capacity and how much seating they can have. And so if we can extend the boundaries of their restaurant or whatever, the seating, it will be helpful. So I've started with Jane. We had a very productive meeting today, attorney, and we'll be, hopefully presenting something to the town board for discussion really soon, because we want it to be that they can have it up and ready, and as soon as it happens, they're ready to go. So that's just one of the things that I kind of thought of, but if we form this committee, there may be other great ideas that we can all come together with as a community. So
Teresa, is that going to be dining with allowing alcoholics serving or just dining?
With alcohol too, if, you know, I mean, again, the restaurants may need to deal with the,
The SLA, that's the whole thing.
absolutely. I mean, we're not doing that. Some of them already have it for like out on the sidewalk. But some of them don't really have a, like, I mean, you know, we've been started talking to some of the owners that, you know, they're thinking their parking lot may be more appropriate. Again, temporary, it's all temporary. And there's gonna be a process. We're gonna have the fire inspector look at it, you know, police department look at it. You know, we're not just gonna say, go stick tables wherever you want. But, you know, again, it's something that I think Mayor de Blasio's talked about doing it. I know they're doing it down in parts of the shore already. They've passed things to allow for it. So, again, it would be temporary during this time, just to try and give them something to help them out with. They're talking about the governor coming out with maybe 25% capacity or 50% capacity. So if they could get that much out and outside, it would help them. And then it would help if we all go there and have something to eat and maybe have a drink, but anyway. Okay, so the next item is just to remind everybody that the meeting, like tonight, is at 5:30. Next week, the next meeting on May 19th will also be at 5:30. And then from there, we'll reevaluate what we're doing with the meetings. Hopefully we'll be again in person again one day soon. The next list is there's a couple of items that have already been canceled for Memorial Day. So if you see that the American Legion Parade has been canceled, the John Perry Post in Palisades Spark Hill, their service has been canceled. The Charles R. and Raymond Bloville Post, American Legion, and Willie Polhemus Post of Upper Nyack, and Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Village of Nyack's Memorial Day service is canceled. There are a few more out there. They were hesitant to cancel them yet. So I would say that if we find out, we're certainly going to let you know. But before you certainly plan on going to any of these events, you should just check to make sure that they're still being held. Basically, until the governor loosens up the gathering rule, it's going to be hard for anybody really to have any of these events. The next one is it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we did prepare a proclamation, which we often do, and I did take the time to actually read through it. You know, I guess it's more significant. I don't know if that's the right word, but in light of what's going on, there certainly is going to be long-lasting effects on people. And I've said it to anybody who will listen to me. My sister is a nurse, and she's been doing the intensive care unit, and she did 12-hour shifts. And I personally could see the impact on her. So I think there are going to be long-term consequences for just about everybody involved, but certainly the people who are on the front line there. So I think the recognition of post-traumatic stress disorder is important, and so this seems appropriate. We do have a proclamation, and we just want to say that we'll be sending it off to NAMI Rockland, and we just want to highlight what they're calling trauma and trauma-related treatment due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's that. The next one we do have is the proclamation for National Police Week, which I believe we hand off to our Orangetown's finest. And again, it's, you know, when we do these proclamations and you read them, it's a little dated because they're going back, you know, the information back to 2018, but they talk about the number of assaults on law enforcement officers in 2018. It was 58,866 with 18,000 injuries. They talk about the number of deaths. And so it is, you know, it's important to recognize the sacrifice and the service of all those that were killed in the line of duty and those that are stepping up every day and are on the front line. So again, we thank them, and we will be handing off the proclamation to the chief of police when we see him, hopefully soon. Last, we have tried something new because we all can't be, you know, really basically in gatherings. Many of you may know that I'm a runner, and Carmel Riley, who works for me, is for a runner. Allison was still working on her, but one of the things we like to do is have our races, and this time of year, we usually have a lot, and they've all been canceled. So we decided to hold what's called a virtual 5K, which means you can go out and walk or run or jog or stroll a 5K wherever you feel fit. You can sign up. We actually have 108 people who signed up to participate already. And we have donations. So people who want to be on the shirt, there's gonna be a shirt made up for it. It's $100. You go on the shirt. And it's for the food pantries, and we have raised, thanks to Carmel Riley, $4,700. So, no excuses. You can get out there. No one's going to police it. We're not going to check if you did it, but we will check that you made your donation online. So, again, that runs actually from now to the 17th. Okay, so you could do it at any day, at any time. Okay, so that's what I have on announcements. We can quickly go over the workshop agenda items. The first one is just basically putting the information for the town board meeting with the meeting number and calling information and things like that. So, jumping to 3 and 4, going back to where I started with the very realization that we're going to have some serious budgetary issues. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. So after these calls, I started to look around. One of the things that has happened during the pandemic is the Justice Court has been closed. It's been closed for roughly 6 weeks. So we, had certain employees, and they are wonderful employees, and they do a great job. And this has nothing to do with anything about the individuals involved. It has to do with the Justice Court being closed. We have decided to furlough one of the attorneys who was hired basically to do code enforcement, which is in Justice Court, and so really is kind of limited by that now. And one of the last clerks that was hired. Again, this is temporary. We hope that once the court is up and running and we're citing people with violations, both of these employees will be back. But again, at this point, it's going to be down to every penny we can save. So, I was asked by a reporter when he was doing an article about all the towns, about some of the capital projects, employees. And I basically said that, everything will be on the table. And so unfortunately, tonight's the first phase of what's on the table. So again, both of these employees are great. It's certainly not about their work ethic or skills or anything. It's just there's only so much you can do when the court is closed. Somewhat related, number 5 is, again, during the state of the emergency, we have looking to authorize the chief to reduce what we call minimum staffing. So right now there's always 8, and Jerry, please jump in if I say anything wrong. There's 8 sectors, and there's, a police officer per sector or more. But if someone calls in sick, they need to call someone in for overtime. In light of the fact that we are actually down 6 or 7 police officers right now, it's going to happen more often until we can backfill those spots. So this just gives the chief in his authority or his designee, a captain or whoever, the right when someone calls in sick to not backfill an officer.
Doesn't he have that authority to begin with as the chief?
I don't know. That's a good question. I've always heard about this minimum staffing, and this was attempted in the past one time to make it some kind of authority. So I don't know if there's a rule for it or not, but this tells him, certainly that he can if he needs to. And staffing, fortunately, is something within management control. Again, chief may never do it, but it's certainly something that if he needs to know, he can. He knows he has the town board support.
Maybe he doesn't. Is Chief Butterworth on the phone right now?
I believe. Chief, he may be muted.
I mean, I think the board's going to want to get him the way on this. We'll go. I'm sure he'll be on the phone by the time we go and vote on this. So.
Okay. I mean, I know that Jerry spoke to him and whatever, but that's fine. Hopefully he'll call in or someone can get him. Okay. Number 6 is approval of sewer registrations, which we do, periodically during the year. 7 is basically getting reimbursed for overtime on our counterterrorism training. That's from the county. Better get that before they stop giving it. Number 8 is the tax certiorari proceeding. I'm told the school district has agreed.
Very good.
At this time. Number 9 is approving the agreement for the stormwater education program through Cornell Cooperative Extension. Number 10 is award a bid for roof repairs. If you see in the resolution, we list where it is: Blue Hill, Pro Shop, Blue Hill Restaurant, Orangeburg Library, Building Department, the Concert Hunt, and the Police Booth. And that's being awarded to Hayden Building Maintenance for $8,487. Number 11 is work that the Dini just did down on River Road. I spoke with Eamon this morning. He says that that money was actually bonded in 2018, so it's there. And the work is actually going to be done next week. So then we have the audit, and then we will be going into executive session to discuss both personnel matters and pending litigation. And then we'll do the adjournments when we get to that point.
The chief is trying to get him.
The chief is trying to get on, I'm told. Should we just wait till we get to that item, or you want
Yeah, we might as well go through the other, vote on the other items.
to? Okay. Well, here's the tricky part. We're going to try and let the public speak.
All right.
Okay.
sounds
So,
good.
I just want to, before we make the motion, open the public comment, I just want to remind everybody the same rules going to apply that apply when you're here in person, which means you have 3 minutes. It also means, when you get on, please state where you're from in your hamlet or whatever. And just keep in mind, we don't have any way to know who's looking to speak. So when I open it up, it may be more than one person. So we're just going to have to, coordinate it. And I'll give you a heads up when you got a minute left. So you can start speaking. I'll tell you 1 minute. That means you have a minute left to speak. So in case you want to cover any particular areas. Okay, so can I get a motion to open the public portion?
Yeah.
That was Paul Valentine made the motion.
I'll second.
Dennis Troy seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so do I have anybody that would like to speak? Yeah, they're all muted, so Rob's gonna have to. That's Esther. But I think
Hi,
they-
Teresa.
Hi, Esther, how are you?
Good. I just want to bring something up that Governor Cuomo said at 11:30 this morning. You guys should be wearing a mask. You're there to protect us out in the community. I don't see any of you wearing a mask. And he keeps
They're all
saying
in their
that.
own home.
And that doesn't matter. It's a safety precaution. I can't keep going over this because you guys are relentless with this. And there's no respect for me on this issue.
That's
The
I got
other
2 head
thing-
masks on.
The other issue is I'd like to compliment a great human being from Venture named Bill Sewell. He's been getting meals for all of the Venture group homes and the Kathy Lucas Living Center. Instead of asking money for shirts, you ought to give money to Venture. So Bill Sewell from the Venture Foundation could get more meals for all of us. He has done a dynamic job and he deserves a raise. I want Dennis to hear that. This is important, Teresa.
Esther, I hear you.
But Dennis, you don't say anything, and it's like you don't seem to care what I'm saying. You guys, instead of buying shirts, give money to Bill for the foundation so he can continue to get more meals for the Venture houses and the unique Kathy Lucas Living Center. I'm the wind beneath his wings. I want to see you guys do this. Dennis, you know I'm right. You can't argue with me.
Okay, Esther, thank
I
you.
really don't think you guys should laugh at me.
Nobody's laughing, Esther.
Yes, you are. You guys are, and it's offensive to me.
Okay. Esther, you have less than 1 minute.
I'm asking you guys to please do as Governor Cuomo asked, to wear gloves and masks to protect us.
Okay, thank you, Esther.
Bye, Teresa.
Be safe. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak?
Yes. Please say your name, please.
Nick Whalen.
Nick, is that you that wants to speak?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to read a statement here. Good evening. My name is Nick Whalen. I'm president of the Orangetown Police Benevolent Association, representing the 76 uniformed police officers of the town of Orangetown, along with hundreds of retired police officers. Throughout this pandemic, our officers have been on the front lines exposed daily to the virus, while responding to both routine and emergency calls, as well as regarding ambiguous and legally confusing executive orders regarding social distancing. Despite limited PPE, uncertainties with the virus since day one, and the illness and death of some of our close friends and family members, our officers have done their duties with honor and courage, even as the town has limited our time off with our families and has restricted our payroll options, which have been practiced for decades. Despite these restrictions, no complaints have been raised by myself or by our police officers. Approximately 40% of our members are combat veterans or 9/11 first responders. We're used to answering the call of duty in the face of danger. Our sick time usage is down. Officers are even pulling back their scheduled time off so they can be on call at this community's time of need. Yet, despite all of this, agenda item number 5 seeks to reduce the minimum staffing that has been in effect for at least 30 years. This staffing level has not changed, not even during 9/11 or the economic recessions. In 30 years, we've gone from over 100 police officers to around 76 officers, despite nearly the tripling of call volume and an abundant increase of our tasks and responsibilities, while most of our specialized units have been cut or stripped to the bare bones. Our one mainstay has been that we consistently put a minimum of 8 police officers on the street every shift. This is not only for public safety, but also for officer safety. With the projected increase in domestic violence, civil disobedience, and the overwhelming amount of medical calls, this is certainly not the time to be reducing manpower. Note that with the Rockland County medics being overworked and spread thin, we're usually the first ones on scene to medical emergencies, providing life-saving services. With limited time for public commentary, I'll leave you with this. Thanking essential workers, first responders, and police officers isn't done by putting a sign on your lawn or a bumper sticker on your car. It's done by enacting public policy that ensures some sense of safety in an inherently dangerous job. In my 1.5 years as a PBA president, I haven't asked for anything formally of this town board, so I'm making one request tonight, requesting a roll call vote on agenda number 5. I want it on record who truly values the lives of our public and our police officers, and who only pretends to do so in times of political convenience. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak? That sounds like somebody's trying to speak.
Who?
That's annoying.
Looking at a Pink Floyd concert.
Okay, so I got accused of doing it too fast last week. So does anybody else want to speak before we close the public portion?
Do an auction. One. Going twice. Going 3 times. We'll go to 5. Going 4. Anyone else want to speak? Going 5. All right, I'll make the motion to close public portion.
Okay, we have Tom. You made the motion to close. Jerry Batari, second.
Yep.
Favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Someone must have the meeting on in the background. That's
Yeah.
why you get the feedback.
Paul, you're coming in really, really clear.
The chief is available whenever you want.
Okay, real quick question. The chief is available. Do you want to just wait till we get to that item, or do you want to ask him
Yeah.
now? Wait till we get there?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so again, talking about some of the tough decisions we have to make. The first item is furloughing the most recent deputy town attorney effective May 15th due to the financial impact of the COVID crisis. Get a motion? I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion for it. You have a second?
I'll second it, Teresa. Tom Divney.
Has any got that? Tom Divney seconded. Do you want to take, Rob, you mentioned taking roll calls on all of them. You want to take a roll call on all of them?
That's up to you.
I mean, I guess you say, all in favor, say aye. And then it says,
Yeah, we're suggesting roll call so that people can hear
Okay.
who's,
okay,
even if it's
take
unanimous.
a roll call. Rosanna? Muted. Got to unmute, Rosanna.
Okay, got it. All right, Supervisor Kenny,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes, and I just want to make clear that this shouldn't last more than 8 weeks. So that the added unemployment that these employees will get, they'll be hired back before that ends.
Councilman Tom
Mine's a
Divany.
yes.
Tom said yes.
I'm sorry. Councilman Jerry Vitari
Yes.
and Supervisor Teresa Kenny. Yeah.
You've got Dennis Troy.
Oh, okay, sorry. Councilman Dennis Troy.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 4, very similar thing. This is the most recent hire in the Justice Court clerk. Echoing what Paul said, this hopefully will not be that much longer. The unemployment benefits now are a little bit increased. And hopefully we'll have them back before long. So with that, I will make a motion to furlough associate in the Justice Court, and then we have the employee number to, basically identify 4077. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who's second?
Tom
Tom
Divany.
Divany, Tom seconded.
Okay. Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Vitari,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis Troy.
Yes.
Get everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, you and, okay, you need to vote also.
Yes.
Sure, okay. Councilman Tom Divany. Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
Okay.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes. We think the chief is on, is that what we're told? Yes. Chief, you there?
Can you hear me now, Supervisor?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that technical difficulty.
That's okay. So we're just getting to the item which basically authorizes your designee to reduce the minimum staffing. And I think Dennis, Tom Divany wanted to, they might have questions for you, so I'll open up to the board.
Chief, Tom Divany.
So,
Paul, you can go first.
well, it was basically your question, Tom. Didn't he always have the right to do that?
I believe I would have the right on like a day-to-day basis. I don't know if I would have the right as a policy to change it. That's how I always looked at it, but I think from a day-to-day, I would always have that right.
I don't see why it's needed. He already has the right to do it if he sees so fit.
So then what's the problem with doing it?
What
Because I think
are
that-
you accomplishing?
I just think that he's saying he doesn't know on a day-to-day versus a policy. This kind of gives him authorization on a, I don't know what that means. Can he do it one day? He can't do it 5 days. He can do it, I don't.
Well, Chief, I guess the second question is, do you support reducing staffing during this crisis or not?
I don't necessarily support making it a policy to change the staffing to reduce it. One of the things is we've had studies done in the past. There's been things that have come out in the studies that said there were times that you could reduce. But the problem that we have is it also said that we should have a 90-person police department. When they said that, because then you would be able to use things from other areas. I don't see a problem if we have enough people working a shift that we could pull people from another area. There's other things I would like more talk in executive session, because it does deal more with how we staff the road and where they get staffed. I don't think that's necessarily a public thing that I would want to discuss. But that's kind of where I fall in this, that as a rule, I don't think it's a good idea to go down below where we're at, because especially like on a midnight tour, that is one of the shifts that they do have less calls, but the calls that they have don't tend to be unfounded calls, where sometimes during the day somebody's driving by something, they call it, you have that. But there is things, like I said, I could certainly discuss in executive session, but it is more of a strategy thing that I don't think the public is an appropriate forum for.
So I guess, Tom, my question for you is if the chief can do it or thinks he can do it, or there's some question about it, because otherwise this was proposed in the past. That's where this actually came from. And why it was proposed is that, again, every department is unfortunately going to, have to bear some fun. This is about the overtime, and it's about the fact that we're in a pandemic where the bars and the restaurants are closed. There's less cars on the road, and I get it. There may be another call for domestic violence. I haven't looked at those records. But, again, it's at the chief's discretion, who is the person we put at the top of the department. So it's basically us saying to him, we trust you to make the right decision. He's telling you he may never do it, but it's basically just from the town board saying, or the police commission saying, we trust you to make the decision.
I think it's more about someone getting political cover. He has the authority. He has the authorization. His job is to do staffing. This is a resolution that gives him political cover. I don't think you should be reducing staffing and patrols during this pandemic. They're the first responders.
But then that's inconsistent with what we're voting on. You're saying you want to tell him he can't. That's what you want. You want to tell him he can't.
No. I just think that this is a ridiculous resolution that doesn't change what he already can do. But if you're asking me, do I think there should be a reduction in the patrols? The answer is no.
I understand that's what you say, but I don't know the right answer either, but I want to tell my chief of police that what they've said, what Nick said, has been happening for 30 years. There's a reason it's been happening for 30 years. So I want to tell the chief, if during this pandemic, and that's what this is limited to, during the pandemic, if, and again, and in everyone's defense, if that's the right word, we're down 7 cops. So you can see where people are we're low staffed, calling in sick. And it allows the chief on a Monday night on the midnight shift where we get less calls to say someone calls in sick. This particular instance, I don't think we have to backfill it. It's a management right, by the way. So, all we're saying to the chief is we are standing behind you and the management right that you have to make that decision. That's all it's saying. Chief may never do it. It's totally within his, it's not me saying I want to have it done. I don't want to have it done. It's saying to the chief, you're the chief. It's a staffing issue. The town of board supports you.
Jeff, what are the numbers? What do we save if this happens 4 days a week for the next 8 weeks? Let's talk about the savings on a $1.4 million item.
If I can talk on that. If looking at how I would deal with this, there would have been probably a potential for 5 shifts during the time of this that we would have saved. And there is a potential for 5 more through the month of May, because I did look when I was communicating with the supervisor over the last couple of days. I looked at times where we could potentially do it. So that's where I said between March 16th and today, it would have been 5 shifts. And moving forward, probably another 5 are potential, but that all depends on how the supervision goes over that period of time as well.
Okay, so then obviously, Tom, it would be whatever the chief is at 2 officers per shift, or 1 officer per shift that you could reduce.
Hopefully 1.
No. You wouldn't be reducing any more than 1 at the very least. And, at this point now, I don't see it being worth it. And, I would say that the chief has answered the question.
Well, which is what I see. I'm confused because in one breath I hear you're saying the chief has the right to do it, and in the next breath I have two people saying that they don't want him to do it. So are we letting the chief make the decision, or are you making the decision? So everyone's on the same page.
Teresa, I believe the chief said he has the ability to make the decision, and therefore the need for this resolution is really moot.
Okay, do we know, does the PPA agree with that? Because I understand there was a question about whether we can reduce staffing. There was a question that the PPA was asking. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
And I understand Nick Whalen's point. Thing is, chief, I think you need this resolution.
I think I need the resolution. It depends what the board wants the resolution to do. If it's on a day-to-day basis, I don't think I would need a resolution. If it's a policy change, then I would need a resolution, I believe.
No, I believe it's day-to-day, not a policy decision.
Well, yeah, but it's not a policy decision because, again, I don't know what a day-to-day, maybe it's the lawyer in me coming out, but does that mean that Don, after he does it one day, then the next day he can, or it's 3 days, or, just not consistent. I could do it day-to-day, but it's not policy.
When I'm saying day-to-day, I mean the conditions would present. And if I feel a condition that I would feel not a need to, that's what I meant. I didn't mean that.
All right, well, that's what this resolution clearly says, that you, the chief, have the right to make that decision. That's what this says. You, the chief, have the right to make that decision. That's all this says.
So basically, you're trying to reaffirm what he already has the right to do so that everybody's clear that he has the right to do it if he sees so fit. But it only extends to the coronavirus, not, he thinks he has the right now. Always, right? And always had the right.
Which is the first I'm hearing.
Am I correct, Don?
Well, where I would give an example would be is if it's somebody goes home sick with a portion of the shift left and they don't have the ability to replace that person, or it's too late in the shift to do. It's not like something that you have to do. So there have been times that's occurred. There's also times where we have officers tied up with arrests that aren't out on the road, and you're not calling somebody in necessarily to replace them on the road if it's something that's not an expensive period of time. If it's, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, we don't replace. So we do go below from time to time without replacing on overtime. That's where I'm saying my right would be, that we don't necessarily always have 8 people at a minimum on the road.
But you do start off with 8 at the beginning of the shift.
Yeah.
And that will remain the same.
Now, again, you have me completely confused. Because in one breath, you're saying he has the right to not, someone calls in sick, he doesn't need to backfill him, but now everyone's saying you have to start off at 8.
Yeah, Paul, you got a question?
No, I was, what I think that's the chief's discretion. If somebody calls in sick and he says, it's a really sunny day, and I think he has that discretion now. He may always choose to start off with 8, but that's his discretion as the chief.
I don't know if I agree.
The question for the chief is,
Just if I need, just to clarify on one thing, is to go along with what Supervisor Kenny is saying. In the past, the town board has taken a stand to say that you couldn't go below 8. They have, and I'm talking probably about 8 years ago. There was discussion.
I was here for it. That's why this is here. I lived through this. I lived through the chief Nolte proposing it. I learned at the backlash. It was a different time because you weren't in a pandemic. Again, it's not going to save a lot of money. This is not going to get us out of our problem. But I mean, we're talking about police overtime a little bit, giving the chief in his discretion the right to do it. I don't know. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to say something that
just to answer Tom Devaney's question, using the chief's numbers of 10 shifts, you're looking at reducing overtime $12,000, for that, for those shifts, give or take, depending on the officers who are called in.
Just to add, though, also, we have taken steps when this first came out in reducing the amount of people off and things such as that. So we have taken steps that have reduced some of the
Chief, can I ask you a quick
significantly.
question? If we hire, I know we're supposed to be hiring, but I mean, I guess the problem really becomes overtime when someone calls in sick. And so, does hiring the new officers down the road help with this?
It's certainly going to be a start. I think it would have to continue, but they at 76 right now. This would get us to 78. They're already through the process. I think that it takes us 8 to 10 weeks to get them trained. We could, work on that. The training to get them, on the road maybe a little bit quicker would be helpful, especially during the pandemic. I'm sure we could do certain things, but it's needed. They're definitely needed because right now we have nothing with the pandemic. We have nothing out there additional other than patrol and detective bureau. So other officers that were in different assignments are now back here. So at some point we'd like to, I'm sure, get back to them going back to their assignments. But so I believe the hires are necessary, and we're also down a radio operator as well.
Okay, so I guess if I can have all my town board members here say that they happen to think that you already have the right to do it, and you seem to think you have the right to do it, I'll withdraw it. But I just need to hear you all say that you think that the chief has the right to do this without this resolution, that he has the right to not staff on the minimum staffing.
Okay, I think two things. I definitely think the chief currently has the right to do that, and he can do it as he sees fit currently. And I also think he needs to hire those 2 officers because in 8 weeks, we're going to be in summertime when there'll be vacations, and overtime will kick in almost automatically with the amount of officers we have. So I think we need to hire the 2 officers, and I do think he already has the right. Anybody else?
I think he does have that ability to do so. I don't think he should do it. I think there should always be the number of patrols that have been there. These are our first responders. We purposely put out a video thanking our first responders at the behest of the supervisor's office, saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we're trying to impact their safety and
Tom,
the
Tom,
safety.
with all due respect, let's
With
not
all
make
due
it
respect,
personal.
No, I'm just saying.
This is, I'm going
We
to go
don't
back to
agree.
what
We
happened.
don't agree. We didn't agree 5 years on the same issue. We
I
didn't
sent an
agree.
email that said I wanted to talk about this in executive session, and somebody went running to the PBA, which is why they're here, weighing in on what they want. So from now on, I don't know who it is, shame on you, but from now on, when we have a confidential communication, I'd appreciate it if it would remain confidential. And at that, I will make a motion to remove this item from the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Teresa. And I agree with you about the confidentiality. Anybody else going to vote?
She just removed it.
Yeah,
But the vote to remove it, I guess, I don't know. Where's?
Rosanna,
I'll move to remove
Okay,
it.
you ready to vote? Dennis Troy,
yes, to remove it.
Jerry Batari,
Yes, to remove it.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes, to remove it.
I have to ask Rob Magrino. Rob, you there?
Yes.
There's no reason I can vote no against something I moved, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera going.
Teresa,
The
you're
motion
super-
is to remove it. You can vote no if you moved it.
Okay, just checking. Because apparently they're keeping records of who's, supportive and who's not. So I want the record to be clear. Okay,
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes, to remove it.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
oh,
Did you get everybody?
oh, could we get to go to something more mundane like certificate of sewer registrations? I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of sewer registrations for KJTM and United Sewer and Drain Service. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
I
Are
have
you taking
Dennis Troy second.
Okay, you taking a roll call? We're just saying all in favor.
I've been recommending roll
All
calls
in
just so
favor.
that when the transcript comes up, people can be identified. So if we
Okay.
can do it quickly.
Okay, roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes.
Okay, that's everybody.
Okay. Number 7, authorize the intermunicipal agreement with Rockland County for reimbursement of cost of law enforcement overtime for counterterrorism training. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Was that Jerry?
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
All right, Dennis Troy first, okay.
Dennis Troy. Okay, roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Oh,
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes. Number 8, approve a settlement. It's a tax cert with Mountain View Avenue BCH Realty LLC. The South Orangetown Central School District has approved it for a total refund from the town of $40,561. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Troy.
You got that, Rosanna? Tom seconded it.
Okay. Roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes. Number 9, approve an agreement for the 2020 Stormwater 2 Education Program with Cornell Cooperative Extension. I'll make a motion to move this. Do I have a second?
Second, Tom Divany.
I'll second it.
Tom beat you to it, Paul.
Tom.
Okay, on a roll call.
Who was it, Paul or Tom?
Tom beat Paul to it.
Okay. All right. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes. Okay, award the bid for the 2020 roof service and repairs at various town locations, which was by bid, and it is awarded to Hayden Building Maintenance of Nyack. Do I get a motion to move that?
I'll make a motion, Paul Valentine.
Thank you.
A second? I'll second it.
Jerry,
I'll second it. No, I
Whichever.
seconded.
Okay.
Teresa. And roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Divany,
Yes.
and Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have approving the agreement with NTech Corp., River Road Sanitary Sewer Improvements, in the amount of $33,048. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
That was Dennis Troy.
Dennis Troy.
Second?
Second, Tom Divany.
And roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Devaney,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, we have the audit.
Okay. The audit for tonight's meeting consists of 3 warrants for a total of 2.4 million. The first warrant had 3 vouchers for 86,000 items of interest. Number 1, Chair of the Workers' Comp Board, 17,000 for the first quarter payment. The second warrant had 2 vouchers for 16,000 items of interest. Number 2, New York State Unemployment Insurance, 12,000 for town contributions. The third warrant had 118 vouchers for 2.3 million items of interest. Number 3 and 4, the applied golf contracts. Number 5, Arthur Gallagher for 932,000 for our full year insurance renewals. Number 8, CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, 30,000 for dental insurance. Number 10, Hewitt Excavating, 75,000 for River Road sewer repair. That's bonded money. Number 11, Lothrop Associates, 186,000 for the town hall project. Number 13, Department of Civil Service, 743,000 for healthcare insurance. Number 15, Shannon Chemical, 16,000 for sewer chemicals. And number 16, Sprague Operating Resources, 20,000 for fuel. Are there any questions on the audit?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, so can I get a motion to close the audit?
You got to vote on the
You
audit.
need to vote on it.
Oh. Nothing like I'm trying to get out of here or anything like that. Okay, can I get a
I'll move it.
motion on the audit?
I'll move it.
Mr. Troy.
Second.
That,
Jerry?
Jerry.
Okay. All right, roll call. Councilman Dennis Troy,
Yes.
Councilman Jerry Batari,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Valentine,
Yes.
Councilman Tom Devaney,
Yes.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, now can I get a motion to close the audit?
Move Tom Devaney.
Second, Paul Valentine.
Full second, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Doing all in favor.
No, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we are going to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters and pending litigation. We're not going to be voting. We're not going to be coming out, so we're going to do the adjournments now. I'll go through them, and then if anybody wants to say anything, by all means, just jump in. We have Joseph Arlotta from Nyack, the former assistant director at Tanglewood House. Sheila Banks, West Nyack, she's with the Venture family. Elizabeth Brady from Blauvelt. Chandra Bullock from Piermont, the daughter of Charles Bullock Sr. and sister of retired Orangetown police officer Clifton Bullock. Charles Bullock Sr., ex-chief with the Central Nyack Fire Company from 1978 to 1979, a member for more than 50 years. Former Clarkstown police officer in 1965. Palisades Interstate Park police officer and retired New York State police trooper, and worked at Costco in Nanuet, New York. And
Teresa,
yeah,
I just,
go ahead.
Charlie's been around for forever. He's a true gentleman. You're going to come up to his wife later on, and the daughter also passed away. It's a wonderful family, active in the church down there in Spark Hill. And Charlie never had a bad word. He always had a story. It's just a complete shame. I know everybody is, but this person will be sorely missed by me anyway.
I agree.
Okay, and then next is on the list is his wife, Louis Ann Bullock from Piermont, and as you said, wife of Charles Bullock, and he was retired. Dominica Capanilli from Brooklyn Spark Hill, Joanne Chirico from Pearl River, Andrew Conklin, West Nyack Venture Family, James Conte, Tapan, Gerard de Blasi, Marion de Blasi, which as a point was my roommate's parents from college. They died within days of each other from COVID-19. So that's heartbreaking. Imelda de Guzman, Venture Family, Fred Drockman, Venture Family, Eleanor Erickson, Nanuet, Venture Family, Angelina Iazetta from Valley Cottage, John Gannon from Valley Cottage, William Griffiths from Pearl River, former Orangetown councilman from 1986 to 1987, Michael Hill from Pearl River, Denise McDonald, Chestnut Ridge, Venture Family, Tammy Reister, Nanuet, Venture Family, Robert Samuels, Piermont, Alan Seebeck Jr., who most of you know is a former town employee at Blue Hill Golf Course, and he was a member of the Tapan Fire Department for 44 years. Berta Bella Shore from Nyack, Ellen Eileen Spencer from Pearl River, Teresa Ann Tedesco, Spark Hill Venture Family, Dennis Vasilatos, a World War II veteran from Pearl River, Isaac Wright, Venture Family, and Ilse Zywan from Pearl River. Anybody else want to say anything?
Mike Hill graduated high school with me. I've known Mike 40-something years. He owned Dog Hill, he grooming business, and he was a dog trainer who a lot of people in Pearl River used, and he was just a great guy. And you know, he didn't even die from COVID; he had a heart attack. But you know, the way they've changed the policies on what happens is that they didn't bring him to the hospital because of the severity of the crisis. So it's just sad. So sad.
Yeah.
I would like to thank the supervisor for including the Venture clients that passed away. Venture lost between 10 and 11 clients over this period of the pandemic. Venture has been one of the key organizations here, resident of Orangetown. The other thing is John Gannon. John Gannon was a Hibernian for 35 years. He was involved in all sorts of offices, but the main thing he did was a tremendous amount of charity work, whether running golf outings, fundraisers for people in need, Christmas time for children that had nobody to take care of them. He was just a great citizen and a fun person, and just another one of the tragic stories of the COVID-19.
Okay. So I think we're going to take a motion for the adjournments. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
Dennis Troy first, Paul Valentine second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.